Data has an electromagnetic signal in his internal servo fluid system. Riker's arm has been amputated and surgically reattached. Is there another way to reattach an arm? I don't know. Ensign Hagler has a legit early 90s hairdo. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 6. I can't believe it. Episode 5, entitled Schisms, story by Jean-Louise Matthias and Ronald Wilkerson, teleplay by Brandon Braga, directed by Robert Weimer. This was October 17th, 1992. Where were you? I know where I was. And how you doing today, Sirach?
I'm doing great. You could non-surgically reattach it with some tape or some...
I guess you're right. I was being too nitpicky there. Maybe you're right. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications, and if you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And please visit us at The Seventh Rule on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/The Seventh Rule. Once again, that's patreon.com/The Seventh Rule to support the show, be part of the team, have some fun with us. Let's talk about Schisms. Sirach, I've seen this episode before, but I surprisingly barely remembered it at all. How is there a 6th season episode that I barely remember? But you've never seen this before. So I would love to know, what did you think of this one?
Well, it was something that kind of like, I was wondering where it was going when it opened up, because it started off with Riker tossing and turning, and I was like, is he having trouble sleeping, or is he, that part I couldn't tell. And then, eventually, explained that he's oversleeping, which is a different thing. But then it went to the poetry reading, Data's poetry reading. And I'm like, what the hell is this episode about? Is this just the slice of life episode?
Right. Right.
So that's what I initially thought this was going to be. Like, oh, this is one of those slice of life. We get to see Data does the poetry reading. Riker has difficulty sleeping and gets counseling from, Troy or some medical advice. And it was just going to be like one of these, not much going on, maybe some diplomacy on, wherever they go to. But I didn't expect it to take the kind of turn that it did.
Yeah, kind of a dark turn.
Yeah, kind of a dark turn. And so, yeah, that was unexpected for me. It went from, sleepy habits to all of a sudden, things being missing, like missing time, essentially, and everybody having these weird reactions to things. So that's when the mystery started for me.
When the episode first started, I don't want to give any spoilers, but my first thought was, oh no, not this episode. But then I was like, oh wait, no, it's not. It's not this episode. And people that know Star Trek Next Generation really well, just based on that, they could probably guess what episode I'm thinking of. Actually, this is a really good quiz. In the comments below, everybody, if I say when the episode started, I thought, oh man, not this episode, what episode am I thinking of? You already have a huge hint. It's not in the first 5 seasons. So, you only got like 47 episodes to work with here. But it was definitely a slow burn, right? We don't even really know what this episode is about until about 22 to 25 minutes. They're like halfway through. We don't even know what's happening. Like you said, it just kind of seems like slice of life. Okay, Riker can't sleep well. And then once we see the glowing, whatever thing on the wall, that's almost midway through. And we go, okay,
Yeah.
finally there's a thing. There's a tetryon field. There's a thing. There's something that it might all be connected, but even that was very, you notice Data and Geordi were super chill about it. Like, no yellow alert, not, oh my God, everybody, the ship can blow. They're just like,
Yeah.
something really weird and unexplainable is happening to the ship. No, let's check it out tomorrow. Let's see if it grows. It's like a spider bite. Let's see if it gets, just check on it tomorrow, see how it goes. And, if it's bigger, maybe put some ice on it.
Not even like scanners out and like, oh my God, let's read, take readings and measurements. Just like they looked up like, oh, okay, that's what that is. That little hollow glowing, looks like a hole in the fabric of space and time. Just like, okay, like imagine walking past that in your house and you wake up in the middle of the night and there's just like this dimension that's opened up right over by your TV.
And then your reaction is, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. I'm going to come check that out tomorrow. See how
when I get up,
maybe
if that's still there when I get up.
Yeah, maybe rub some dirt on it. I don't know. There's something. I'm going to have to put a painting over it. It's ugly.
Yeah, it was slightly a weird reaction. So you kind of nailed the nail on the head with this. For me, the tempo was slow. And in the midway, I was like, what the hell is going on? Worf's getting a Bolian barber to cut his hair, and there's a whole scene with the scissors and stuff. And
right.
It just.
But then we found out afterwards why the scissors had meaning. At least.
Yeah, but I guess kind of, but it just felt like misdirection in a lot of ways because the poetry part, you don't know, is this going to be significant to the storyline? Is that even a B story line? There's that misdirection. The scissors don't kind of make sense right away, but you do recognize that Worf's in the Bolian barbershop. So that's like, oh, okay, let's see how this scene plays out. Not much to get here except for Worf's having a real freak out moment. So, and then I'm thinking, does Worf usually use electric clippers? Like, was it the scissors that, you know what I mean? Like, does he always get a scissor cut, or does he get some other kind of cut? And I couldn't figure out why he was looking at the scissor strands. Obviously, they explained that later, but the episode just started off a little too slow for me as far as what the mystery was. And I think that if they had accelerated the pace to kind of get to the story and the meat of the story earlier, before, just accelerated the first half of the pace, they could have gotten more into who this race of people are.
Yeah, that
aliens, cool. And what their purpose is, where they come from, some kind of communication between them to exchange, so that they explain what their motives are. And so I think that would have been, I would have benefited from that because my curiosity was really about the purpose of these abduction. Well, why did he cut his arm off and reattach it? Like, there was no explanation for that. And I want one. As if you're going to tell me that, then you have to later on tell me why you told me that.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that in this episode. I needed more follow up on the alien species. They could have done a whole analysis, a spectral analysis on their makeup or whatever, and trying to find their genetics in the database, all the lingo that I'm looking for to explain how do they have this technology? What are they using this for? What's their curiosity with human beings? And, because this does have relevancy to, when we watch science fiction, we always attach it to fiction, right? We attach it to our own lives in some way, in our own reality. And one thing that exists in our own reality is the idea of being abducted, or of abductions, UFO encounters, alien encounters. Those stories have circulated for a while. I think that, literally throughout civilizations and cultures, there's been some reference to an exchange of ideas, of visiting from uh, UFOs and aliens, and even abductions to this degree. So I just wanted some more background on that. It would have been great. Just tell me what, these are time travelers. These are the ancient Egyptians. Something, give me something. And then I'm like, ooh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
These are you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, that's a good point because it kind of ties into something I noticed, which was for a bottle episode, and this is clearly a bottle episode, they actually put in a decent amount of money into production value, like set production, set design, the masks, like that alien. We see its face one time, and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, I
that's
had to
pretty
pause it.
cool. What's going on
Yeah.
there?" And the hand, I was like, "Hey, I want to know more about these guys," because my first thought is always like, "What a waste that you made this awesome mask, this beautiful thing, room that they're in, cool hand, Luke, and that's a movie,
Hmm. Yeah.
and like they're gone forever." Like at least let's see that face for a few scenes. I just feel bad for the people that made it and go like, I spent all week making this amazing thing, and people are going to see it for 2 seconds at best. Also, when I first noticed it, was in the cargo bay. They had a ton of like those barrels and stuff like that went on for days. I was like, wow, there's a
Yeah.
lot going on in here. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but I'm like, usually when they do something like that, they get like 4 or 6 tubs or barrels or whatever, and they kind of put like that, and then they just get a shot that makes it look
Yeah.
like, but they
Yep.
got a big wide shot, and there's like 30 of them. It's just going on forever. I'm like, who's the poor guy that had to paint all these things and put up? Either way,
Yeah.
I just thought like, I mean, they didn't skimp out on the funds on this, so I feel like they could have used the aliens more. Also, when you were talking about scissors, it made me think of the movie Dead Again. Dead Again did the best with scissors of any production I've seen. Anybody that's seen Dead Again, they know scissors, pretty cool.
I thought you were going
Anyway,
to say Edward Scissorhands.
I never saw that movie.
Well, that was a big one
Unfortunately.
with,
Yeah.
I think, Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look, that's why I felt the story was too slow for me. The mystery wasn't. They didn't react to it like it was a perilous, life-threatening thing when they initially saw it. Back to your point that we made earlier, and that makes me as the viewer also not feel that sense of urgency, right? I'm like, oh well, they'll figure it out. It's obviously not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Data's not tripping, Jordy's not tripping, so like, what why should I be so upset about it? But I'm supposed to be upset about it because when we watch these episodes, the key element of writing a good story is having a something to lose. Like there's something on the line. There's a sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean. There's an imminent threat. That's what makes these shows work. And when you identify that urgency and that threat, that's what raises the stakes so that the drama feels real and feels, uh, you know, activates those emotions inside of the viewer. And when the cast and the script calls for, it doesn't call for a heightened sense of, panic or, emergency, and they were real casual, then I'm going to be a casual observer as well. The episode almost played like the poem that Data described.
What a metaphor. Actually, it's a simile, but yeah, the poem is a metaphor for the episode, because I was going to say this after the break, but here's the big thing for me. This episode had one thing maybe better and more than any episode I've ever seen in Star Trek history.
Ooh.
And that was, can't tease it for the break because we're not there yet. So I'm just going to say it.
Say it.
Technobabble. It was an episode of technobabble, through and through, more technobabble than I've ever seen. I mean, just for example, just in that poem, right? It was the entire poem was
Yes.
technobabble, and
Yes.
you're right, where it was like that poem was a ton of technobabble, not a ton of substance. I don't want to go that far with the episode, but that's kind of the metaphor we're making here, which was tons of technobabble, but it left you wanting more. I mean,
Well, and the line is in the episode. I mean, kudos to Brennan Braga. He wrote it,
yeah,
right? And this is the line that he writes that Geordi tells Data in that moment when he asks him, "Okay, can you critique my poetry reading? You know, can you talk about it and tell me what you thought?" And Geordi looks at him and he's like, and he's kind of like reluctant. And I love that scene. By the way, it was good acting
so good. Yeah,
because remember he's got a visor on. We can't see his eyes, but we can see that he is like struggling.
absolutely. He does in the eyebrows and the,
Yeah,
well, Data.
yeah, yeah. He just doesn't want to do it as my friend. I don't want to
Yeah,
bust his bubble. You know, he's putting in all this time and effort. He something he loves. He's passionate about. Last thing you want to do is like burst somebody's bubble. So he's like, he's so reluctant. But when he finally does say what he needs to say, it is again back to this metaphor. It's indicative of what the script is talking about, and that is sometimes Data. It's more important to focus on what you want to say than how you want to say it,
mm-hmm.
right? And to me, this episode is a lot of how do we want to say it. We want to have the mystery in the beginning. We want it to affect Riker first, and then it'll affect Geordi, and then it'll even Data will. So that's how we want to say it. We want it to be like this. We want it to be like that. But what do you want to say?
Yeah.
And the what do you want to say part should be more about this alien race that goes around doing this to
Or
entity
or a message, something they
or a message.
learned, a theme,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
something they learned along the way, a lesson. So, but then also just to jump onto what you were saying, the line that Geordi says before that just killed me. He says about the poem, well, it was well constructed, a virtual tribute to form. Like he's like,
Yeah.
it was on
Uh,
the nose. It was a perfect,
yeah.
like if you are going for structure and
Yeah.
form, boy, it was, you just killed it.
Which
But
is great because that also speaks to Geordi not being a liar. Like he didn't want to lie, right? Because he could have just said, "Oh no, that was great. I enjoyed it. I thought everybody liked it." He didn't lie. Geordi instead said, "How do I tell the truth without telling
you know,
the truth?"
and Data kind of suffered. I'm not going to give away the identity of this person, but Data suffered with his poem in the way that somebody I knew back in the day with her writing. Like she was a writer through and through, and she would ask me, to read her stuff and give her notes and stuff. And, at first, you read it, oh, really good. The next one, and then finally it hit me. I was like, she clearly wants to be the next Ernest Hemingway or something like that, right? Because it's not like screenwriting. We're talking about like, novels and short
Novel
stories, a lot
writing.
of short stories and things like that, or Edgar Allan Poe or whatever. Um, so every sentence in her story could be plucked out and be a work of art on its own with the big word and the elaborate description. Each sentence was like I said, like a work of art. It could just be pulled out on its own and stand well. So, but then I realized that she was clearly so concerned with, I don't want to say like showing off her writing skill, but making it seem so well written that the content was missing a soul. And I was like, I can't give that note. That's soul crushing to a writer. If you say it's technically sound, but your writing lacks heart. I think it was heart. That was what I was thinking. Your writing lacks heart. There's no heart. It has a point. It has a hook and a left turn and a twist, and it's everything is a mastery of the English language. But I don't feel anything. There's no heart. Anyway, so I was like, I can't give that note. So I definitely felt what Jordy was feeling, even though he was giving it to an android. It's like, you can't tell a writer that, because that's the writer's number one thing, is you need to affect the reader. Everything else is adding color, but that's not the bones.
And that's what you got out of his poem, was like, he was focused on rhyming.
Yeah.
And sometimes rhyming is not necessary. I mean, even in some of your favorite songs, right? It's just like, it doesn't need to actually rhyme sometimes. You know what I mean? It has to feel good. It has to flow.
To flow. Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to rhyme.
But you know what? That being said, I would love a transcript of Data's poem, because whoever did write that, I don't know if it was Brannon or somebody else, whoever wrote that actual poem is fucking brilliant. Because I was like, wow, that is, I mean, obviously the poem is a joke.
But yes.
Whoever wrote that in real life is brilliant, because that was like beautiful. I was like, I mean, obviously the joke is that it's just the mastery of words and things like that. But whoever wrote that is a master of words. It was really fun.
Oh, it was hilarious. I wrote a little bit of it down, but he was talking about the tale of Spot, ode to Spot, and he says, if it wasn't for that tale, you would lack a counterbalance. And I'm like,
but it rhymed. And it was all true. It was all true and accurate.
And it rhymed. And it's funny because they cut to Picard's reaction when he said that, and he kind of was like, he laughed, because he thought, he was like, that's the only thing that I find interesting, what you just said, which is this dumbass joke about the tail being a counterbalance.
We also got, I believe, by far our biggest Tracy Coco sighting. Like, she was featured hard. She wasn't just sitting there with Picard. She was
it looked like they were dating him.
Yeah, she was like his date. She was giving reactions to him. They were interacting with each other. She was getting shots of her doing things like standing up and be like, oh boy. And I was like, wow, that is.
And they gave her that romantic lighting that they give, people when they give you that special glow light, pops on you.
Mm-hmm.
So
pops on you.
Yeah. So I saw that too. I definitely saw Tracy Coco eat up a lot of screen time.
Yeah,
looking very pretty and super thin, and just like I said,
very expressive. Really
very
good.
Expressive. And it looked like she wasn't having fun with that poem either.
Yeah, she was acting the hell out of it. She wasn't like, well, hey, I'm just, no lines. I'm just going to, chill and be like that. No, she was acting the hell out of that thing, man. Yeah. She's like, get that camera tight on me. I'm giving you something.
And it's funny because in part of her performance, everybody else was doing a personal thing. So, Riker's falling asleep, right? So that's his personal thing. Troy is embarrassed that Riker's falling asleep. So she's like, oh my God. And she's doing her personal, like, oh my, I'm embarrassed. Picard is trying to look amused, but he's also looking bored, And Worf is looking like, why the hell did I even sign up for this? I'm wasting my time, right? But then you look at Tracy, and she's looking for somebody else to co-sign. She's like, "Am I the only one?" She's like, "This sucks, right? I mean, this is like everybody's trying to internalize their own feelings about it." But she was more looking for approval from everyone else. Like, am I the only one? You guys see this, right? This is bad. So I liked it. I thought she was really radiant in that moment, and she shines. She looked beautiful.
Actually, we got to jump to our break, but that leads perfectly into the question I want to ask you more than any other question today. And we will hit that right after the break on the seventh rule. TM. No, we're not TM. I don't even think we can say that.